How is it possible that it's almost been 9 years and there is still more in the franchise that makes us go WTF, that makes us nod and say, oh, of course, that makes so much sense.
Because it's FNAF.
Because it's FNAF. Welcome back, my fellow gamers. I'm Amanda.
I'm Connor. Today we're looking at the most WTF moments from the series, because there's a lot of them.
There's so many.
Let's do it.
Number 10, Gregory. Gregory. Why? How? Who? There are more things that don't make sense here than do make sense. Gregory is a character that we play in Security Breach, and he really just does not make a lot of sense. Is he living in the Pizzaplex? Where are his parents? Does he have parents? Is he an animatronic? We have a ton of questions about this character, and most of the answers that we have, well, I mean, we haven't really gotten any answers, actually, I feel like. Instead, we have a protagonist whose origins are completely unexplained and who also seems oddly sadistic as well, especially for like a kid. I don't know why Gregory was introduced. I don't know how he connects to the larger story or if he's even supposed to at all. There doesn't seem to be any major reasons why they made him the protagonist of this game, other than obviously wanting to let us play, I guess, as a younger character, which, you know, given the context of the franchise and the fact that most of its fans are younger, I guess makes sense. But from a narrative perspective, there isn't much explanation given here. And friends, before we move on to our next spot on this list, if you love what we do here at Top 10 Gaming, show us you love us by clicking that like.
In a 9 glitched Freddy. Okay, hear me out. It seems just highly convenient that we just so happen to be at the show where in Security Breach Freddy glitches out. And that seemingly, as we're led to believe, this glitch is what causes him to refuse the Afton virus code. Like what? How? We're supposed to believe that this glitch is caused by Gregory, given the security threat message that pops up next to the silhouette of a kid. But if that is true, and we caused the glitch, how is a kid in a group full of kids a security threat? When people are allowed in the Pizzaplex all the time? How is it this one kid is like, no, that's a bad one? Like, sure, he didn't have a guest profile, but if Gregory was the glitch, wouldn't Freddy have glitched again after he scanned us? I don't know. Honestly, I think the hardest part to believe about this is, strangely enough, the fact that we were able to climb inside Freddy while he was glitching out on stage without anyone noticing. Like, sure, maybe he wasn't on stage when we climbed in, but a glitched animatronic is surely going to have some form of personnel around them so that they can get fixed, especially when they're the namesake of the series and the franchise. Restaurants. Like, come on.
Number 8, Unplayable Areas. In Security Breach, there are a few things that bothered players and that didn't really make sense to them. And I'm not even talking about the narrative in this game here, which really was wonky at best and is like a whole other story. Just even in terms of gameplay, there was a lot of stuff that was kind of weird. Namely, the map. And no, I'm not talking about the actual map you could go into and try and navigate in game, although that too, honestly, was not great and was kind of weird. I'm just talking about the map in terms of the actual Pizzaplex itself and its locations therein. While there was lots to explore, it seems like not all of the locations were actually integrated into gameplay. Like, there were places you could explore, but then there was just like nothing really there for you to do in terms of like the actual story of the game. So while the map feels pretty massive, it also in a way ends up feeling kind of empty.
And it's 7 arrested. Okay, let's look at this logically, alright? Henry knew what was going on with Afton, and that Afton had some shady scenarios cooking in his brain. Otherwise, he wouldn't have added the green wristband that we see on Charlie in Security Puppet, right? Well, if he knew that this man was up to something and was fearing for his daughter's safety because of it, so much so that he adds extra security for her, why didn't this man call the goddamn police and say, hey, so William Afton is the one that's been offing the kids that you're looking for? I don't know. Like, sure, maybe you didn't have any proof, but anonymous tips, they're gonna go off it anyway. Plus, you could have made it so that they were keeping an eye on him, or gotten the police to investigate him a little bit further, but you didn't. And instead, you did a whole load of other shit that in reality didn't do anything to stop William. Okay, I mean, like, yeah, you put him on ice and out of commission for 30 years, but only 30 years. This man could have actually stopped him, you could have put an end to it, but instead you kept your mouth shut. That's Afton's plot armor working overtime with no extra pay. Like, that plot armor should be getting time and a half, plus paid vacation and maternity leave, but it's not. Like, come on. Instead, it's just cowering in the corner, worried about getting fired and too scared to speak up for itself.
Number 6, Mrs. Afton? Mrs. Afton contributes to one of the biggest WTF moments in all of FNAF. When we learn, or at least we think we learn, she was perhaps a woman whom William Afton denied having a child by, and at the same time learn that he feels sad in regards to the loss of her, well, potentially, possibly making Ballora in her image. I think the thing that is most confusing about these revelations is that there are a lot of clues that we get in regards to her possible existence without her existence ever really being confirmed, and with these so-called clues not even really making sense when we put them all together. We get a few hints about her existence that don't really add up, and even, possibly, I would say, conflict with each other. Like, if Vlad is supposed to symbolize William, this would imply that he didn't really want anything to do with his children, or really his partner in the end. But then he possibly mourns her loss? In terms of other clues that we get. So he doesn't want to take responsibility for his kids, but he misses her. If he misses her, why not just like be with her and, you know, like just take some responsibility? And if he doesn't want to be with his kids, why does he keep them around? It seems that he was at least taking care of Elizabeth at one point. And he also seems to leave like a bit of a trail of breadcrumbs for Michael to follow, so what's up with all that?
Halfway through into number 5, parts and service. During the so-called interrogation and torture scene in parts and service from security breach, or at least that's what people are calling it when they're talking about it online. It's not really torture, but oh well. Vanessa is questioning Freddy about Gregory and accusing him of helping us, which is true, but she shouldn't have to accuse him, actually, like at all. After telling him that she's gonna leave him down there until they can put his casing on a new endo, which doesn't really make any sense if the coating is the issue and not the endoskeleton, why would she leave Rockstar Row through Roxy's lift when she could have easily come our way and head towards the main atrium? Because I mean, that's where Gregory is for the majority of the game. That's where all of the animatronics have been spotting us, so it would make more sense to go there than to go to Rockstar Row, where he was maybe seen twice at this point. It seems weird to me, but the reason that this is so confusing is because had she chosen to go the more logical route, she would have walked right through the doors that we were hiding behind. So yeah, and it's not like there's much room to hide there either, okay? There's walls on either side that are made of glass. So yeah, she would have seen us running into the charging station or whatever else we did, so yeah.
Number 4, life after death? One of the weirdest things in FNAF, a moment that happens multiple times, is when people seem to be killed, but then they somehow come back to life. Well, there are kind of explanations for this. They are vague at best and don't really make a ton of sense based on, you know, what we know in the real world. I mean, usually people don't die and then like just go on living. If we can even call what Michael and William do afterwards living. It's more like they're kind of undead, honestly. Michael somehow gets scooped and keeps going on, even seemingly getting a job if you believe that he is the protagonist in FNAF 6. And then there is William, who has been spring-locked and burnt beyond recognition and yet somehow survived through digital code and then like even comes back to life physically, or he possibly also survived physically as well. What's happening? What?
Getting close to the end, and in number 3, you're supposed to be on lockdown. Freddy, you're supposed to be on lockdown is the first line that we hear Vanessa say in Security Breach, and honestly, the first line we ever hear her say. And it also was the start of a meme. Well, interestingly enough, this conversation also describes how lucky we are in this game. Firstly, if Freddy is supposed to be on lockdown, why is it just Freddy? Okay, is it because he glitched out? Because if that was the case, wouldn't you be glad that he's working again? You know, for like the company's sake. And secondly, it's incredible that Vanny sees Freddy, tells him he's supposed to be on lockdown, and then doesn't escort him back to his room, allowing for him to just roam free afterwards, assuming that he's gonna be listening to her. And then she doesn't even continue the way that she was walking. She scolds Freddy, turns around and goes right back the way she came, facing more towards us, and doesn't notice the feet under the curtain or the kid that's watching behind them. It's weird. Especially when she knows that Freddy's been searching for us, or he's supposed to be searching for us. So I don't know, it just seems off to me. A whole load of this game does.
Number 2, Circus Baby. One of the most confusing moments for Circus Baby comes in the revelation that she was both made for Elizabeth, but also killed Elizabeth. So why did William make Circus Baby? Did he make her to kill Elizabeth or what? Because those two things, they don't really seem to make any sense unless that was his intention the whole time. But then he also seems to, warn Elizabeth about getting like too close to Circus Baby on her own. Unless he did that hoping that, he would reverse psychology her and that would work because, he actually did want her to go near Circus Baby so she'd be killed. I don't know. I just don't really understand how he could make basically a killer robot for his daughter and how that could ever make sense.
And finally, in at number 1, FNAF AR. This game is a horrible business decision in terms of Fazbear Entertainment. Cause why on earth would you make a game where people relive the events that had your CEO kill countless people? Come on. And on that same path of thinking, how are the nightmare animatronics present in FNAF VR? Okay, if we are to assume that FNAF 4 is an actual canon plot point in the series, then these animatronics being presented would be impossible. The only way that this could make sense would be if FNAF 4 specifically was one of the games that Scott's in-universe counterpart made, since, they were trying to rebuild their reputation, since apparently they lost it because of the games. It's because your CEO was a serial killer. But that also calls into question every other game that we've played, because FNAF 1, 2, 3, parts of 4, and even sister location animatronics are in this game. So, which would mean that if they remade FNAF 4 because it was an in-universe game, every other FNAF game before this, before FNAF 6, would also be that, a game.
Thank you so much for watching.
My brain is broken.
Mine too.
Click the video, it's popping up.
Oh boy.
Bye.
Bye.